everyone, and welcome to the Strong Sexy You podcast. I'm your host for today. My name is Aubrey Warwick, and I'm missing the other part of my A team, Andy Wagner and Alyssa Siegel, because today we have a special series, and this is the Strong Sexy You Spotlight. And I couldn't think of really anyone else to kick off this spotlight, but other than a woman that I've been working with for a long, long time. And I want you guys to get to know her and to meet her. And the cool thing is she's ready to share her story about gut resilience and conquering colitis and thriving beyond. So without further ado, please say hello to April Skiffen.
Hey, good evening.
Yeah, April, it's so great to have you. And it's really a perfect timing because, you and I were just talking a few moments ago about you are ready to kind of share your health struggles because we want to get to know kind of the April on the surface first, how we present ourselves in daily life. So give us a little bit of background on you. First of all, most people, we just want to know what's your profession? What do you do by day and what do you do by night? Like if you have a side hustle.
Yeah, so I'm an engineer by degree, and I've been doing that for about 20 years. I'm electrical.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have an outlet in my house, by the way, that I need to okay.
I'll come take care of it for you. I've been in the nuclear industry in particular. This is Milo. He's really excited. Go down that way. I've been in the nuclear industry for about 14 years. So that's what I've done mainly in my career. I'm now an engineering supervisor. So by day, I'm working out at a nuclear power plant. I've built them, constructed them, tested them, started them up, and now I'm in an operating unit. So by day,
let's talk the Strong, Sexy, Smart podcast.
Yeah.
The trifecta right there.
Thank you. So I do that by day. Now I'm a supervisor, so I am in charge of engineers now. And then by night,
male-dominated field.
In a male-dominated field, usually I am the only female in a room.
Wow.
That is the typical.
A lot about you, Alpha.
Thank you.
What's
Yes.
your sign? What's your sun sign?
I'm a Taurus.
Oh, you go.
Yeah, I'm a bull.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Miss Betty's here too. I don't know if she can jump up. Hi, go lay down.
You have two dogs?
I do. 2 dogs, Betty and Milo. They're both super needy. I was just telling my roommate, I don't know, I attract crazy and neediness. And so all of my dogs are crazy and needy. That's the way it is.
Sorry, complete you.
Hi. And I said, that's why I'm still single too, because I attract crazy, needy men as well.
We're going to work on this. There will be a part 2 of this episode. When you find that guy.
Hey, Betty, you want to come up and say hi? Say hi. Okay.
Hi,
Betty. All right. Nope. Oh. They've got to be right here in the midst of my whole setup. So, all right, Betty.
That's what you do by day.
That's what I do by day.
Okay. Yeah. And that's really how you and I met, actually.
Yeah.
So I met April back in my 20s. So I know that only seems like 3 years ago, but I'm 43. And April and I met when I worked for a company called Westinghouse. And April, she was just so into fitness. And I remember meeting this beautiful gal who was so outgoing. It was interesting in my 20s. I remember when I first met you, actually, or around about that time, you kind of walking into the wellness center at Westinghouse. I was like, she is so pretty and she's friendly. And I don't feel like she's one of those pretty girls that's like, insecure, like has to I don't know, come off the wrong way. And I was like, wow, this is a really cool person. Like I need to get to know her. And we became friends, and you started to also segue into your side hustle, teach body pump classes, and you took your first body pump training once we met.
That's correct. Yeah, I was actually thinking that today. Like I'm pretty sure my first body pump class was with you at the Energy Center. And now 13 years later, well, actually 14 years later from taking my first body pump class, about a year or so later, 2010 was when I did my initial training, and I'm teaching body pump still. I just did it tonight. I'm fresh off of the body pump floor, coming here tonight. So yeah, that was the first. So I do that by night. I'm a group fitness instructor by night. And that was the first class that I ever taught.
Yeah. And you're awesome at it because you have the personality.
Thank you.
Yeah, people like to be around you for sure. So as you guys can tell, and if you're watching this or listening to this, you can just hear the energy in April's voice, and it's really, positive and upbeat. But you and I, we went some time with life, pulling us kind of apart. You moved down south. I'm still in the Pittsburgh area, and you contacted me because you saw that I was growing and changing, evolving after my corporate wellness days, and I started one-on-one coaching. And I remember when you reached out to me and you wanted to do this one-on-one coaching, and you were an excellent example of like every good coach needs a coach. You do a form of coaching with fitness, and you and I work together with behavior change, specifically with nutrition, because when so kind of fast forward a little bit, April moved away to China. All right, uprooted her entire life. Okay, so with the company of Westinghouse. And was that about the time when you started to exhibit symptoms of colitis?
Yeah, so I know pretty heavily in 2018. I kind of looked back at the whole time I was in China and was like, was I seeing it then? Was I seeing it before? Maybe, but it peaked at the time in 2018. And again, I just thought, well, I'm in China. I don't know. The water's dirty. Not that I drink the dirty water, but I'm here. Maybe I ate something bad, because it was like kind of off and on.
You're
But
experiencing bleeding.
experience bleeding, having random like diarrhea, a lot of bloating, a lot of gas,
You gained weight
just
over that period?
what's that?
You gain weight over that period?
I did. And I was teaching classes over there to my coworkers, So I mean, I was still working out regular. I was running at the time. I was teaching strength training. I was doing CrossFit style workouts. Like I was very active and eating pretty healthy,
Mhm.
and it's still like, why am I bloated and gaining weight and these things? And just literally attributing it to China. And when I come back to the United States,
Mhm.
it'll sort itself out.
Mhm.
And it didn't.
Yeah.
And a couple months in, I was like, am feeling worse. Like it didn't get better.
Well, because of our history together, April and I, we had this conversation. I was like, listen, I'm gonna be like really candid. I was like, all right, so here's the deal. You got ulcers up your ass and you're bleeding out your ass. I know, like, think of if we had it in our mouth, how are we gonna fix this? And we started to kind of go down a different rabbit hole of, what's really trendy now is like heal your gut. And we kind of move through these different courses of action to try, okay, this one tweak, right? And then we would add different layers of another to just say like, all right, how do we actually just stop the bleeding? How do we stop the symptoms? And a really not and a more of a holistic approach. And I want you to talk about, you're going to blend both of like the Western medicine healing modalities into a holistic approach because you use both, right? And you
Absolutely.
yeah, and you really I really haven't met someone with a chronic condition who was like, what, I am going to figure this out. I'm not just going to stop at like one solution or one answer, and I'm going to continue to try to heal my body completely. Now, before we go into those healing techniques that you did, what do you think caused it?
I've thought a lot about this over the last, almost 5 years now since I was originally diagnosed. And, I wonder if having my gallbladder removed had something to do with that, because that's a part of my digestive tract,
Yes, absolutely.
and it's like you're just leaking bile. Like, I don't know, maybe that's part of it, and not being like it, not my you don't need your gallbladder, right? But it does function. It serves a
It serves
purpose.
a purpose.
You can live without it, but it is impacting your digestive system. So I wonder if that's part of it.
Hmm.
Uh, I hold stress a lot. I definitely see throughout the years when I'm super stressed out, I can see where I get those symptoms, the flare starts. I think eating is definitely a part of it. I tend to think that I eat pretty healthy, and I always have for the most part, but we put all these things into our body that we don't really know what it's doing inside. We can see sometimes on the outside what it does, but we really don't know what it's doing in there. So I think,
Impossible to be a perfect eater with environmental influences, even in our best attempts, unless we, don't eat at all, which you've tried those techniques too of fasting.
yep. Yeah.
Effective, but
Yeah,
temporary.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, I think those are probably like the gallbladder thing. I've thought about that a lot.
Mhm.
Over the last, oh, sorry, hold on.
You're fine.
I might have to put the dog somewhere.
They were doing good for a little while.
We were, all right, that's okay.
Well,
Come
the
on, go lay
interesting
down.
thing is too, it is the Western approach, albeit there's benefits to it. And I'm not knocking Western medicine, but the approach is like, hey, this organ's not working, we're going to remove it. Hey, you don't need to live with a uterus, we're going to remove it. And if you're listening to this, that there is truth in multiple perspectives, right? So it's like, yeah, I met a gentleman actually a couple years ago that his adrenal glands were removed. And I never heard of that. I was like,
Oh,
I was like, oh my, I was like worried for him. I'm like, are you sure you want to do this?
yeah. Yeah.
And, he's quote unquote fine. I haven't seen him in a few years, so I don't know how his health has evolved. But at the same time, you know, for every action that you take,
Yeah.
there's going to be something that changes.
Yeah. And the other thing too, I am not, we'll say, allowed to take NSAIDs anymore. So
Oh,
with my
okay.
colitis, and I love the ibuprofen, man. When I get my period,
Yeah.
all about it. I think it works so much better than aspirin. So, I mean, I'd just eat it and eat it. That's what I always took. Now, I didn't take it a lot, except especially during my period. I mean, I get really, really bad cramps. So I would be for those 4 or 5 days, just all day long. And I honestly wonder if that didn't have an impact on my gut as well.
Yeah, absolutely. With the anti-inflammatory. I agree. What I
Interesting,
had,
because now I have inflammation. Like,
yes,
it's so crazy.
yeah. So you're saying that you feel like you taking a lot of the NSAIDs, that a lot of the ibuprofen also contributed to the
I
damage.
wonder, because now that I'm not supposed to take it, I wonder if that maybe had, brought me to where I'm at too, just and
Absolutely.
not like in one time, but like, I mean, we're talking years and years and years
Mhm.
of, hitting the anti-inflammatories.
Oh, definitely. I started taking anti-inflammatory when I quote unquote had bad knees. I was diagnosed with Osgood Schlatters, which is just calcium deposits on your knees at 13. And at that time, my parents were like, yeah, just take ibuprofen, whatever. And then as an adult, this was like maybe 9 years ago, I developed terrible bursitis on my knees. Like it looked like I had two knees on one leg. It was
Oh,
that swollen. And so I was taking so much, like every 4 hours, to decrease that bursitis. Long story short, I was getting diarrhea. So of course, we want to remember, folks listening, that your gut starts from your mouth and goes all the way out your back end, and it's just one cell thick. So all these things that we put in pharmaceutical drugs, the over-the-counter medicine, it can tear holes in the gut lining. And what we think is just kind of, since it's over the counter, we don't realize what we're doing, and everyone's so different. So some people can get away with it. The folks who still have iron stomachs out there, I'm talking to you. Otherwise, at some point, a lot of women, they come to us and they tell us like, after 30, my metabolism shit the bed. After 40, this is what happened. And it's not because that number is so magical. It's because of what is built up over time. And it's kind of like that little jack in the box. That's like, boom, surprise.
yeah.
Here
We
I
just
am.
didn't know it was coming.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you didn't know it was coming. So, okay, this is really helpful because anyone listening to this who suffers from a similar condition, retrace your steps, I think, is the moral of that story. And it's never one thing. I think it's always, there's layers to any problem, whether it's a physical health concern or a personal problem. There's layers to it all.
Yeah. Yep.
Like you said, with your stress management and how you hold stress in. I mean, everyone could probably relate to that. I don't know many people who are like, no, I can't relate. I just let everything roll right off me like a duck on water. That's not how we operate as human beings. We have to come into society not like we're acting like a 6-year-old and just letting everything fly how we want to. So it we think like through exercise that this is going to release stress. But tell me a little bit about now how your protocol has evolved to manage your ulcerative colitis, because you did a great thing for yourself by we did the gut health testing, we did nutrition, we did fasting, we did yoga. But how has it evolved since the last time I've talked to you? Because I bet there's other things now that you've integrated, and I think also medication too.
Yeah. So, still doing all of those things, like really trying to manage my stress. I think that's the biggest thing for me. And nutrition, watching what I'm eating. And, we did a couple different things, and I've done some of the, the medical medium cleanse to heal stuff. I do little bits of that in my day. And I've done the gut microbiome test, right. And followed that protocol. And I still try to follow that. I mean, it's tough to do all these things, right? And stick with it. I still do, the fasting days, the cleanse days. I'm still, incorporating that in, the yoga, the breathing, the like walking just to relieve my stress, getting away from my desk. And I was doing all that. And honestly, I got lax with all of it.
Yeah.
And also, I started teaching Les Mills Grit about a year and a half ago, which is high intensity interval training, and which is going to add inflammation into your body.
Yeah.
And I think that along with just being lax about all of the other things that I was supposed to be doing, I had a really bad flare last year. And about this time last year was when it started, and it went on for about 2 weeks. And then I had like a week of like nothing. And I was like, oh, I'm good. It's gone. Okay. I did it. I got through it. And it continued to get worse and worse and worse. And a side note too, is that I had been on medicine when we started working together and I got diagnosed. I went on a medicine, and I decided to go off of it because honestly, I couldn't remember to take all the pills all day long, and I wasn't taking them anyway. And I thought, I'm going to do this without medicine. And I did for a few years. And then last year, it just all crashed, and it got so bad. I lost 14 pounds in 1 month at one point. I couldn't eat. I mean, literally, my protocol for a day of eating just so I could get something in was a banana in the morning and then maybe a bagel later on during the day. And that might be it for the day for days. And
yeah.
go ahead.
And so you were still teaching classes at that point?
I was barely going to work. I was working from home a little bit. I'd do like a few hours in the morning. I mean, literally sitting at a computer doing this, being on meetings for about 2 hours would wipe me. I would have to lay on my couch the rest of the day. And then I would do my best to still teach. I teach 3 classes a week, plus sometimes on Saturdays.
So you're in the bathroom a lot though too, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons I didn't go to work.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much I couldn't go sit at a desk there. It did get to the point where I was very fatigued, but I couldn't be at work and having to run to the bathroom constantly. Like, who wants to do that? I can, but like, I'd rather be at my house if I'm doing that, right? Like it just, and honestly, I would be on the toilet for 20 to 30 minutes in severe pain, waiting for everything to pass.
Wow.
Like on. And so I can't be doing that at work, So I was missing work. I was going to classes. I got so weak that, I was like, I mean, body pump, and this is fine. Like I met myself where I was at, I really was like the model of, hey, we all go through things. Like I'm going to be doing all body weight squats. I'm going to be doing light weights for chest, all plate work, like I'm using the barbell, I'm going to do this because I'm able to show up, but I'm going to be at the lowest intensity as I can, and I'm just going to do what I can. And honestly, it was really hard for me because I want to be the rock star, I want to lift the big weights and show the people like I'm strong and you can do this too. And then it was like, I can't,
It's very humbling. And especially, I talk to people a lot about their identity and what you identify as. It's kind of a very hot phrase these days, but no matter what, it's like you identify as the rock star, right? Like this is, if you don't have your health, like this is such a humbling moment in your life. And it's important to, I think, you know, sometimes we get to the point where we're like, you know what, like you said, I'm good. I got this. I got it under control. So I'm going to go back to maybe old habits, or not that they were even bad habits, right? Because you got rid of a lot of the what we would think are bad habits. We think, all right, well, the exercise intensity is stressing the central nervous system, or you change your physiology, or you change physically, I should say, after having a surgery. And that's the one thing, is that we are changing beings, and what we once were in the past doesn't apply now. And that's where it becomes, I think, specifically hard as women, as women are going through perimenopause, menopausal women, that they're like, it's a state of shock, because you think it's not going to happen to you. And I'm sure you never saw this coming, because is this a condition that like runs in families?
Not necessarily. Honestly, when I've asked a lot of questions and I've read a lot online, it's like, we don't really know.
Right.
The gallbladder thing can be genetic, although I think mine was because of the Depo-Provera shot, because I don't have that history in my family.
Wow, that's powerful. I didn't know that. Yeah. I remember, being guided to forms of birth control. And I remember that one terrified me the most, because it was like a point of no return. Like you have the shot and you're like, oh, like at least a pill, I could be like, I'm not taking that tomorrow. But were you really young when you took this?
I was in my 20s, and maybe they didn't know at the time, but the
Sure.
only real thing they told me was about loss of bone density. And so they were like, make sure you get that checked. And I was like, well, I'm young and I'm straight training, but I was cognizant of that. And
Mhm.
then all of a sudden my gallbladder goes bad and nobody knew why.
Yeah.
And then afterwards it was like, well, it was probably from that shot. And now they do have warnings for the Depo-Provera shot about gallbladder issues.
Dude, that's why when anything comes out that's so new, I'm like,
And that's one of the reasons why, even though with the ulcerative colitis, it's like I want to be better, but it makes me nervous putting things in my body.
yeah.
And the original medicine that I was on was like what's the word I want to use? Like a not low dose, but like mild medicine.
Hmm.
But I take 3 pills 3 times a day. Like that's crazy. I can't remember to do half the things that I need to do every day, let alone take those pills. So um my doctor, when that happened last year, it was like, you got to get back on a medicine. You got to. And I was very reluctant to. He put me on prednisone to calm that inflammation. I was on it for several months until we
Wow.
weaned off it. Yeah. And
Wow.
actually, I mean, it got to the point I was vomiting. It was just, like I said, I lost so much weight. I couldn't eat. When I could eat, I was afraid to. I had my colonoscopy in October, and he couldn't even finish it. He was afraid he was going to perforate my colon. He had to back out. So like
Oh
it
my
was so bad. And so I conceded and I said, okay, I'll consider medicine.
God. Yeah.
And honestly, I just started taking a medicine 2 weeks ago,
Mm.
Humira, and my doctor was on it for his ulcerative colitis. He highly recommended it. I've heard, from other health professionals, a lot of good things. And I just got on it because insurance and all the things. And I switched insurances, and this pharmacy couldn't fill it, and all the things that happen. And on during that time, I've been okay. I've been off prednisone for a while. So I keep telling myself, like, maybe it's okay. And then I just think about what I went through last year, and I just think I can't go through that again. Like that was terrifying, it really was. And it's like, will I get better? I don't know. Like I really want to, and I'm gonna do what I can, and I'm gonna take the prednisone, even though I didn't love taking that, and I'm gonna, do better with my diet. And honestly, well, I'm just gonna rest. It's not real busy at work right now. So like my bosses knew
Mhm.
I'm really sick. I'm going to come in when I can. Call me. I can answer the phone. If you need me on a meeting, I can lay on my couch and listen in,
Yep.
but I may not be able to come to work. And I went in as I could, and they were really great about that. But one of those things I kept telling myself is like, you need to rest. Your body needs rest. It can't heal if you're going still and it's using energy everywhere else.
Mhm.
So I did start the Humira 2 weeks ago. Honestly, I've been feeling pretty good, so I don't know if I'll see much of a difference, but yeah, it's I made the decision, okay, I'm gonna try it, you know.
Absolutely understand. I respect that for sure. So what are maybe three things that you would tell someone who has been diagnosed with ulcerative colitis or maybe even Crohn's? We can put that in that. What are the three things that you would say that courses of action, that you would recommend them to take?
So, definitely make sure you have, I mean, this is for anything, but make sure you have a doctor that you trust, you know. Mine came highly recommended and he has ulcerative or had it. He had his colon removed, which doesn't necessarily mean you don't have it anymore, but you know, so he understood, you know, he knows what I'm going
Yeah,
through and he was on a medicine, you know, that he trusted.
yeah.
And so having a doctor that you trust for sure, um and shop around for that doctor. That's true for anything. You don't like your PCP, go find somebody else. You don't have to stay with that person, you know. um Ask a lot of questions.
Mhm.
Look up, talk to other people, talk to people who have alternative means, you know. Like, honestly, I got diagnosed in December 2018 and I had just started working with you. I went on 2 different medicines, and started feeling better within about a month. Stayed on that medicine, moved, so I got a new doctor, and he said, "Well, I wanna see what's going on myself, so let's do another colonoscopy." Like, "Okay, great. It's been 4 months since the last one." We did another one. There was no detection of the ulcerative colitis. He thought I was misdiagnosed originally. We did a
Why?
blood test, and I said, "Well, you know, I took these medicines." He goes, "No, it wouldn't have cleared up that fast." And he had the pictures. I sent him the images from my initial one.
That's when you did a lot of the dietary approaches, though.
Exactly, and I told him that, and I said, if I said, "Well, if it's not from the medicine, maybe I'm sure that contributed to it," but I said, "I have really been cognizant of my stress. I've been doing a ton of yoga, restorative yoga, power yoga, really calming, clearing my mind, and I have been diligent about what is right for my body." You
Mhm.
know, looking at the blood type diet, we did that, you know,
Yeah,
we did the gut microbiome. Like, what is causing me pain?
yeah,
It doesn't matter if they tell me it's anti-inflammatory, it's not working for me, I'm not gonna have that. And he said, "Oh, yeah, that might be it." But I really think that, and I was on it, you know, because I mean, I was sick, so I was like, "I'm going 100% in." Like,
you
no
did.
turning.
You were such a great like case study for me. I was like, this is so amazing.
Yeah.
But you worked hard for that.
Yeah, and it worked, you know? So, yeah, so I find different options.
Mhm.
Like, medicine is great. I'm back on medicine, you know, and it's what helped me clear it up last year. But research other options for sure. Have a good doctor, ask a lot of questions. I had last year when I was really sick, my younger sister is a nurse, and
Mhm.
I had her listen in while I was at the doctor's office. You know, I called her, and like my doctor came in, I said, "Hold on, my sister's waiting for my phone call," because I don't understand all the things and I don't know the questions to ask.
Yeah,
And so after an appointment, I'll tell her, "Well, this is what he said, or this is what happened at the ER." And she's like, "Well, what about this? This is," I'm like, I didn't ask. I don't know what to ask."
yeah,
So, you know, you
yeah.
have
Maybe
to
taking
have
that
a,
written list with you and
yeah,
have someone else be your advocate.
exactly. And she's actually who, like, I'm not married, so my emergency contact is my parents, because they
Mhm.
would be the people that need to make life decisions for me if something happens.
Yeah,
They're my next of kin. But my sister is always the person that I put down, they can discuss medical advice with. That way she can call, she can show up, and she can, you know, and know what to ask and say, you know.
yeah,
So, you know, I think those are probably the main 3 things, and then there's the downstream things of them, but, like, have a doctor that you trust.
Mhm.
seek alternative advice and options.
Mhm.
And they may all go together. And, having someone on your side to be an advocate for you is 100% like what helped me.
Yeah. And I want to add one more thing into there because this is through my lens and really just not giving up and always knowing that you're going to have to change and evolve because your body's changing. You know,
Absolutely.
Sarah might work for a couple years. Who knows? We don't know. The story goes on. And just like other things. So,
Yeah.
such a great job, April, at really never putting yourself in the terms of like the victim mentality. And I think that is also, we all literally fall victim to it, but we want to kind of live in this place that like life is happening for me. And we all are going to have this hero's journey where if it's a health scare, a health concern, if it's a relationship issue, if it is whatever the saga is in your personal life, it's a matter of, what, this is the hand that I was dealt at this season of my life, and I'm going to lean into it like a mother effer. And that's what it is.
Yeah.
So I think this has been so awesome and just kind of catching up to speed with where you've been. And I wanted to kind of ask you two questions that it wasn't anything that I sent you. So
Okay.
okay, so let's see. What do I want to pick here? Okay. In this season of your life, what is your spirit animal?
Oh, my spirit animal. Oh gosh. Um, so a woman at work calls me Bobcat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And she says, because I like pounce and I go after things.
Ooh,
So yeah, so Bobcat is, so maybe that's
okay.
my spirit animal right now. She
Oh my
calls me.
gosh, I love that.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I asked you that. That is great. Okay, and then one more question. So, can you give us just one example, I guess, with working with me, with working with the Strong Sexy You programs that are now online since we are, a long distance apart. One example of really how it has helped you because you know what to eat, you know how to work out. So, why would someone like you want to sign up for one of our programs?
Those programs have been really great because I get wrapped up in my teaching. I mean, I teach 3 to 5 classes a week and I work full time as well, so it's like I always say, I'm going to do other things. Oh, I'm going to go to the gym this on the weekend when I don't have to teach and I'm going to like lift, not the body pump type, which is great, but like I'm going to go start like lifting heavy again, or, I'm going to do these work classes, the dance class or whatever. I'm going to incorporate these other things. And then I don't because I pick up another class or I'm tired, I have a ton of things to do at my house. So when I have these programs that are things that I don't have to make up either. Sure. Can I work out at my house? Yes, I can make up workouts for me. I've got plenty of things online that I can look up or whatever that I know, but I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
It's given me, it's fresh.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, I've never done this exercise before. Oh, like this really works this place. So and I can incorporate it into my lifestyle because it's on my time. And I don't have to be like, well, that was Monday's workout and I missed it. It's like maybe I did and I just pick up Tuesday, or maybe I shift it. It's easy to incorporate into a really busy lifestyle. Someone who already does a lot of workouts, like
Yeah.
adding it
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And and I'm speaking for Andy and Alyssa. I'm always so flattered and honored to have you part of our programs, especially with today's talk. And if anyone wants to reach out to you, maybe about this topic, is there an appropriate way to do it? LinkedIn, maybe Facebook?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on both of those. So Instagram, I'm on all three of those. So like either way, yeah, April Skiffen. So it's just my name. You can look up on any of those and find me there.
April, this has been such a pleasure and such a joy. I want to thank you and I want to thank everybody listening. So, as always, it goes without saying, but you got to like and subscribe and please share this story with someone. You never know whose day that you can turn around with just sharing our own personal journey. So, in the meantime, everybody, keep it strong, keep it sexy, and thank you. We will talk to you soon.